Okay, we're here with Cordelia Morgan-Cooper to talk about HR, recruitment, talent development, and you've just launched your own consultancy.
Yeah.
And you're focusing on what I think is the most prominent issue in the industry at the moment. So, where is the industry in terms of kind of recruitment and how it's handling what I like to call a generational change of the way people are working?
Absolutely. So, I mean, at the moment, we really are seeing a war on talent. You know, you're seeing a change and a shift in the market where candidates are getting 3-4 offers, and really now the pressure is on them to choose the right opportunity. So businesses now are having to step up to be able to be competitive when it comes to benefits. And for me, time and time again, this question around hybrid working, flexibility, for businesses that aren't willing to be flexible, you're not going to win the war on talent. That's literally as simple as it gets.
But is this situation going to continue where it favours the employee, or does it go back to the paymaster?
You know what, I think it's a really interesting time that we're living in now. We're almost all guinea pigs living in this new world. It's really difficult to say what's going to happen, but I mean, what we've seen now is the flexibility is something that is so core and crucial to everyone. Generation Z, this is something that they won't just want, that they'll demand. And I think for businesses that aren't willing to move into the future of working, they will just get left behind.
And how closely do you follow kind of policy developments like internal HRs, the processes that these companies are taking to improve their workforce relationships and their talent development?
So I think the really interesting thing with my business is that it's literally a 50-50 split between recruitment, executive search and HR consultancy. So my finger is very much on the pulse when it comes to HR processes, policies. I'm partnering with a number of businesses where I work for them for 2 days a week, a day a week. And really my role there is to help develop those policies, to help them keep, retain, but also attract the best talent that they can.
And how do you kind of develop those foundations to implement something new? Are they open to that? Is there fresh thinking coming into the industry?
So I think I'm really lucky that the clients that I work with business owners, and all of them are super happy to have me on board. That's the reason that they've engaged in, my services. When it comes to the industry in general, people are resistant to change. People are worried about change all the time. So it can feel a little bit that you're almost like bashing a wall to get through. But really, engagement, happiness at work, productivity, these are things which businesses need to be looking at within gaming, but also within the wider world. And I think for, an engaged workforce is a happy workforce. And I think, happy people work more effectively. And it's just really important that businesses remember that.
So I want to bring it back to the employee.
Yeah.
And from your experience, what should be the benchmark for what you give to the employee, but also having his relationship with them? I mean, how long are they going to last?
Yeah.
What's going to make them happy? And what's going to make them effective? Because it is a business relationship at the end of the day.
Yeah, and it shouldn't all be on the employee getting everything and the business getting nothing. Of course, at the end of the day, it's a business and you're there to, do your job. I think the important thing is that many businesses are at different stages of their maturity. Some businesses have the option to be able to offer many more benefits because they're at a different stage of the journey. For a startup, does it make sense for them to let to have everybody working fully remotely? Potentially not. So then maybe more of a hybrid model works. But I think for businesses starting out, it's really important that they understand what type of business they want to be and the culture that they want to embody. Because once you have that, it's very easy to then build benefits around that.
Okay, so the leaders, the CEOs, the COOs, I mean, what questions are they asking to you? I mean, where are the headaches coming from their side?
So for them, a lot of it's around retention and attraction. It's offers being declined time and time again with a number of my recruitment clients. How can they be more attractive? What else can they offer? If it's not on a salary perspective, then maybe it's more on a learning and development perspective. And what I've been doing with a couple of my HR consultancy clients is putting in kind of career frameworks and career mapping. So you start maybe as a junior content editor. One day you want to become a content manager. What are the steps that you need to take over 1 year, 3 years, 5 years to be successful there? And I think for a lot of people, arriving into the workplace now, for them, what they want to see is that career development. I don't just want to be in this role for 3 years. I want to know in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years where I can get to.
Sure. And also, gambling sees itself, I mean, as a tech industry,
Yes.
within a wider, it has to compete against bigger companies or other sectors. And can it attract that talent?
It absolutely can, but I think that we need to learn lessons from outside the industry when it comes to benefits, when it comes to progression, when it comes to opportunities. You know, the gaming industry is still quite young, and when we look at some of the very senior people within very senior roles, these people have maybe only been in the industry or maybe even been working for 5 years, 6 years. What we need to see is people being in roles for potentially longer and maybe being a little bit more patient. You know, you see 24, 25-year-olds and they're pushing for head of titles. Are they ready for that yet? Possibly not.
What about the agency management? I mean, actually going out there, heading up the recruitment process. I mean, how's that changing? And what is your advice there? Because it seems that there's a lot of recruitment agencies out
Yes.
there, right? But how do you manage that internally? And the other thing that we get back from the feedback from leadership is just the cost of spiraling out.
Yeah.
So there are conflicts within the process.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, my ethos has been and will be that I only want to work with businesses where I would like to work myself. That's something I'm really passionate about. And those are the clients that I'll work with. If it's at a very senior level, of course, working on a retained basis, it's better for me, it's better for the client. They then aren't almost having to have a full-time role of managing multiple agencies. But yeah, as you said, you know, recruitment is a saturated market. There are many people that can recruit, but it's important for businesses to partner with the right recruiter. And the right recruiter can't just hire for the role, they'll also be a good advocate to the business. When it comes to feedback, they'll provide that in a timely, appropriate manner. And they'll also be representing the brand of the business, which is so important. Because if you have a recruiter who doesn't get back to any candidates, it reflects badly on the business. It doesn't reflect so badly on the recruiter. They can move on to hire for a different role.
Okay. And I mean, going back to this, because the other thing, speaking about the leadership, so that they come back and says like, will this ever go back to normal? I mean, HR has become incredibly complicated now in the last couple of years, but do you see it kind of going back in like becoming quite a simple process, or are those days over?
You know what, I think those days are really behind us. I think the days of everybody being office-centric, we've moved on from that, and that creates many more HR challenges. And you know, yesterday I was on a panel and we were discussing diversity and inclusion. If you're moving to more of a diverse workforce, that also creates many different challenges. You've got different languages, different cultures. What language do you even choose to have as the first spoken language? If most people don't speak English, for example, how then do you have an English person to be able to communicate with those people? And that comes with HR challenges, of course, as you grow bigger and you maybe have multiple location sites.
Okay, but the other thing now is we got a new Generation Z coming into the workforce, and how do we accommodate them? And also knowing that, you know, there's still kind of a millennial transition happening above. So there's all these kind of shifting plates going on, and it just seems like another headache is coming in. Sorry.
I mean, we can say headache or we can say opportunity. And for me personally, I see it as something super exciting. You know, we're living in this new world. Yeah, Generation Z, they come into the business, they demand more, but that's also exciting. If an employee comes in and they say, why am I joining this business? What is in for me? What am I going to get from this? These are good questions that businesses should be answering. And, you know, if we're moving to the future where it's totally productivity led, you know, you join the business, you know what the expectations are on day one, and either you deliver and you're successful or you don't, and maybe that business isn't the right place for you.
But I think with the Generation Z, I mean, how do you, are they going to be a happy workforce, knowing that there's kind of all these transitions happening in the place, and that it's harder for them to feel wanted within a workplace?
I mean, I think it will be harder to have them be engaged, but that's also part of the exciting challenge from an HR perspective. You know, these people coming into businesses, Generation Z, they will be demanding career development constantly. They will be giving feedback without caring really how it's delivered. For them, that's what they want to give and what they want to receive. And, you know, as we move more into maybe the metaverse and the future of technology as well, being able to have people wherever the world working, that it's just exciting.
And you mentioned feedback. I mean, how I mean, every business has barriers,
Yes.
right? And it has levels. And okay, we all love to think we've got flat structures,
Yeah.
but they're really non-existent. And do you kind of see those kind of barriers beginning to break down? And is that necessarily a good thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's part of a really, really big question of kind of the future of work. What we've seen and what I've seen within the gaming industry is businesses that aren't so hierarchical are more successful, they're able to move quicker, and their workforce is more engaged. Of course, if you get to 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 employees, you need to have many more levels of kind of chain of command. But I think that businesses where there's that ownership and the shared sense of belonging, that's where people are most successful.
So I'm going to leave you with, I want you to send kind of a nugget of information, because you've started up your own business, and you're 6 months in, so congrats.
Thank you.
And what would you like to say to kind of the leaders of this industry, about what they should be thinking about HR and talent development?
I would say be brave, think big, think about your workforce as your biggest asset, and partner with people that you truly believe in.
Okay, fantastic.
Thank you so much.